Color me surprised. I really didn't think they were going to go through with Keisuke and Moria actually getting married. The end of this episode kind of threw me through a loop because, as I stated before, reading the manga up to the anime adaptation, it doesn't feel like the anime wants to give Moria any attention. And so I felt like, due to the adaptation putting very little development into her character, maybe she was just a side character. But I don't know. We can see. Maybe in the upcoming 2 episodes, out of nowhere, Moria goes crazy, and then Keisuke's like, never mind, I don't want to be with you, or I'm just feeling a gap, and I really shouldn't do that to you. You should find somebody that will love you, and they go separate ways. But again, that announcement at the very end of the episode kind of surprised me. Am I the only one at this point where every time Take yawns, I have PTSD? We had 2 yawns this episode with Take yawning. I was like, no, girl, don't do it right now. No, I can't. I know that's where the story needs to go, but I'm not ready. But no, honestly, I feel like this episode, more than any episode, has cemented a story beat that obviously should come up with this whole scenario. Is Take the one that's holding herself back? Is the reason why she can't leave yet is because she doesn't want to? It's always been the idea that, yes, Keisuke is miserable without her. Yes, Mai is, miserable without her. They're fixing, but she's not going home. Why? Well, maybe the last person you need to fix is yourself, Take. Are you the one that's holding yourself back? Yes, she's calling out to Marika and saying, take over. She's calling out to Marika saying, I'm so sorry. But is she the one that isn't letting go? That's the heartbreak there. And yes, in this episode, several times did she say, basically, yeah, I should have trusted you guys. You guys could have fixed yourself. Like that whole scene with her and Mai. You could have done this all yourself. It wasn't because I came back. Eventually, you would have found some reason to re-find hope. You'd find some purpose, something to move on. I should have trusted you. Because yes, that whole scene with her right after she got in the accident, what did she do? I need to go home. They're lost without me. I need to take care of them. They're going to be so broken. I need to be there. I need to go home. It wasn't call me home. It wasn't Keisuke saying come home. It wasn't Mai saying come home. Yeah, they were distraught, obviously, but it was her. She chose. And then thus she possessed that body. And that's the sad reality. And I think that's going to turn into a thing that's going to be really heartbreaking here is that, yes, eventually she's going to have to say to herself, I need to move on. I need to leave. I need to let you go. But very curious because, again, going back to that whole joke that I was making about the yawning, I wonder at this point, is Marika going to let her go? I have a theory that at some point, Marika and Take are going to talk to each other. I just think they have to. I really just feel like that would be a really cool scene to have the two of them talk. Because, again, Marika at that point can say, thank you for saving my life. Thank you for saving my family. Thank you for bringing back everything that I wanted. You gave me everything. That's why I really feel like Take shouldn't be so guilty, is because she has helped Marika so much. Saved her life, saved her family. And I wonder if the reason why she's yawning is that Marika's not going to let her go. She's going to let her go back to sleep. Because the idea of the yawning almost makes me feel like her presence, her soul within, is going to sleep. Not that it's leaving, it's literally just going to go to sleep. It's going to go into hibernation. Now, that's what can actually happen. It could come to a point where she's yawning, and that's because her spirit's going to go to sleep inside there, hibernate basically, and Marika is going to keep her inside of her. And then, yes, way later on, Take can pop back in and say, everything's going great. I'm so happy to see that. And then she'll pass on. I'm wondering if this is giving us indication that we're going to have her leave one more time and return one more time just to see that last bit. And then that's the point when she'll leave. I think that's the direction it's going. Because, again, why the yawn? The yawn's an indication of going into hibernation, not leaving. Now, it could be that just in general it's the indication of leaving, but who knows? But yes, it scares me still. But no, I really do feel like this episode was surprised around Moria because I think that she's such a great character that the anime is unfortunately underutilized. Not that I think the anime is less because Moria has not been adapted well, but I do feel like her in general is sort of just surface level. The anime has made Moria very surface level. She shows up, she sees Keisuke's hurting, wants to kind of be his friend. At some point, it seems like she's doki doki for him. And then bam, hey, I want to help you with this. Oh, that's your wife? You would never lie to me. I want to help you out. Hey, let's get married. It's very surface level. You know that she's in love, but it's very surface level. Whereas the manga, it goes into them going out camping together. She becomes friends of Mai. They hang out all the time. She's hanging out with Marika all the time. The entire time with Moria's story, it's about her being afraid of being in that relationship. She loves Keisuke. It establishes very quickly that she is trying to figure out what love is, and she figures out what love is, and she wants to be with Keisuke. But the problem that she's running into is she realizes that how Keisuke is so devoted to his late wife, and she doesn't want to get in there. She knows Mai. She hangs out with Mai all the time. She hangs out with Keisuke all the time. Hangs out with them all the time. Sees this strong family and doesn't want to ruin it. She doesn't want to step in where she shouldn't be. I don't want to get in the way of that family. If I get in there, that might upset Mai. If I get in there, that might ruin Keisuke's resolve. She's conflicted about this so heavily conflicted with this whole thing. She doesn't want to become a disruptor. And that goes into eventually at her getting that courage to finally come up there and confess. It gets into a whole Valentine's thing and everything. Her working really hard in order to make some candies and everything. But it gets into like literally, again, how she doesn't want to disrupt that. And then when she finds out about this whole situation, that just adds so much more to it. She doesn't want to ruin that relationship. She feels like, oh my gosh, they're finally reunited. And you have to get back with her, right? You don't want to lose her, right? That's where that conflict comes in her mind that we see in this episode where she's like, but she's going to be gone. This whole time, she's been massively conflicted about his devotion to his late wife. And now she realizes, oh, he does have her back. That's great. Don't lose that. And that's where I think there's so much more to her character than this anime is really giving credit to. I think in the end, it's a great adaptation. Don't get me wrong. Great pacing. The manga is very all over the place. And they managed to structure it very, very well. It's just Moria is sort of the casualty of the adaptation. Her and I think Chika. Chika is an extremely flawed and raw character. And they kind of subdued her down quite a bit for the anime. But anyways, that aside, skip content aside, talking about that stuff aside, getting to the episode proper, overall, really enjoy this episode. The entire segment where they're practicing with the wedding absolutely gut punched me. I messaged somebody like, dude, I'm only 6 minutes in. I'm already getting teary-eyed. That whole scene with them going into there and her saying, hey, Mai, I'll act like a kid. Hey, Mai, can you exchange your vows? Let's practice it right now. Ugh. And it's like, okay, there you go. Because that was the thing that Take was upset about, is that she wasn't going to be there for their wedding. She got that wedding. Right there, she got the wedding. Mai and Aikawa, them exchanging their vows right there. She got what she's going to miss. She's not going to be there for that. It's next April, whatever. She's going to be probably long past by then. This was her moment to see her daughter get married. It was like, oh, it hurts. Like the moment that she walked up to Mai and said that, I'm like, I'm surprised that Mai didn't pick up on that. Your mom's walking up and saying, oh, do this thing. Please do it for me. It's like, yeah, I think she probably should have picked up on that point. I think Mai the most, even though she's moving on the most, she's becoming the most attached. And that's the whole problem with this whole situation is like Keisuke believes, I'm going to go work hard, get in the cells again, move on with my life, and yes, get married with Moria. This'll make it to where she can pass on. But I think Mai is a great example of somebody where it seems like they're moving on with their life, but through that is getting more attached to Take. Even though Take at the end is saying, no, you did everything yourself, I just came back and maybe give you a nudge, you get that nudge eventually. Mai is becoming more attached to Take than ever before, despite the fact that she's moved on. And I think it's through kind of the courage that she's getting from Take, but as well as the idea that her new life, she wants Take to be a part of it. That's the whole idea that you think in like getting married and moving out of the house and everything is like almost moving away from them and detaching from your parents. But I think that's kind of a thing that almost cements it even more. There's still so much that you can learn from your parents. There's so much more you can learn from people. And that's something that's not going to detach the moment you get married. It is like, and then her going off and buying the cups. Like, girl, you're going to make this very difficult, aren't you? Mai is not a done case already. It's like it almost makes you feel like up to this point that Mai has got it all figured out and that she's fine now. It's just Keisuke, right? No, she's gonna crack. I do like at some point Aikawa's like, you are an elementary school student, right? He does figure it out at the end. I think that he does get a sense of it. And again, it goes in that whole idea that a lot of them get that sense, like Chika did at that point, where they confront her about her being a reincarnate. At some point, kind of realizing based on her mannerisms, the way that she's talking, no, this is somebody else. This is somebody that sounds much more adult than they actually are. I'm kind of curious if he has figured it out, or if he just has a feeling of it being there. the idea that, yeah, I think that this might be something special here. There's somebody speaking here that doesn't seem like this girl, even though she's playing it off that it's from a show. But no, later on we have Keisuke coming home and basically saying, I don't want your bentos no more. We need to learn how to cook bentos. I don't feel good about using Chika's kitchen anymore. I want to learn it myself, all that kind of stuff. It's like that whole connection with him and what he talks about with Moria later on, the idea that she's not passing on. He knows that she should. He's working really hard, but it's not fixing it. And he's telling Moria how much he wants to kind of push away. Because I'm showing that I'm getting independent again. I'm showing that I've moved on, but she's still here. Why is that? And he's talking about the idea of almost pushing her away. Maybe I should distance myself. Maybe I should push away. Moria's like, no, don't do that. That's horrible. Don't do that. Again, Moria, this entire time has been conflicted by this. Now she's connected it all. She doesn't want that. She knows how much Keisuke loves Take. And here he's saying that I need to be more obvious about it, more very strict about it. And at the moment when that happened, I'm like, oh, please don't go the direction of a vengeful spirit. Because typically what happens with this, again, we've established at this point that she's a possession, not a reincarnation. And the possession typically means that the person had become a spirit because of unfinished business, was not able to pass on. But the sad reality that comes from it is if they don't do something about that unfinished business, eventually a lot of these stories, they will become a vengeful spirit. A spirit that becomes corrupted because something can't be undone and they weren't able to pass on. And that would be bad. So I got this thought process here, if he pushes back and then she becomes so distraught over this, would she become a vengeful spirit? I don't think that's the direction it'd go. That would be really bad, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to. This show doesn't feel like it. The storytelling doesn't feel like it so far. But I don't know. Maybe if they do that, Marika would have to save her or something. But no, the scene with Keisuke and Take, that hurt. Them bumping into each other on the street and then not having anything to say. Take, I think most of all, in her kind of inner dialogue about the idea that she does this all the time. I mean, they talk all the time. They don't talk about anything special, but she can't get anything out. Again, I think that is sort of an inability to speak out just because I think that she is hurting so much and realize that she can't let go and she doesn't want to create more bonds. I like the fact that we now have finally Take really being honest with the idea that she too is a bumbling idiot. With, again, Keisuke, we've established he can't move on. He's a bumbling idiot. Mai's a mess. She can't move on. She's a bumbling idiot. And now Take's realizing that, yes, I'm just like them. I wasn't able to move on, and I am keeping in this body. And I can't say anything right now because I'm afraid of saying something wrong. But interesting thing is that, yes, at some point she says, okay, let's both say one thing to each other and then don't ask questions and go home. And then Keisuke establishes, let's do it at the same time. In the manga, they don't. In the manga, Take says at first, take care of Mai, and then Keisuke says, okay, I will. I'm kind of curious. Again, the anime, if it's obviously the author's choice here, that makes sense that, yes, they both have the same thing in mind. We're going to take care of Mai. That's all. I'm going to take care of Mai. Everything's going to be fine. That's the main concern that both of them have in the end. At the end of all this stuff, their love, put that aside. Their marriage, put that aside. What they missed out on each other, put that aside. The things they want to do, put that aside. All the regrets, put that aside. Mai is most important to both of them. Their child is the most important thing to both of them. That's the thing that the two of them can come together on. Mai is most important. But the manga, again, she said it first, and then he agreed with it. And I thought, based on the manga, did he have something else to say? Was there something else he was going to say? I thought in the end he was going to say, I will always love you, just so you know. Just a last, I loved you, I will always love you, goodbye kind of thing. But no, the anime, again, kind of more confirms that they probably both had the same thing in mind. It was Mai. But anyhow, the episode wraps up with, again, them coming to the dinner date, family dinner date. It almost feels like, yeah, she thought that Take was going to be there, but no, it was Moria. And hey, we're getting married, and she's not happy. And that sucks. I think that really does suck, because I think we've kind of had a few times where it felt like Mai was trying to establish this. And again, it almost feels a little bit harder, I think, for Mai to accept, just because she has not, well, in the anime, not really seen much of her and Moria together. Because Moria is definitely a good fit for Keisuke. Now, the question mark that I have going forward is this Keisuke just getting desperate to fill that gap? Because going forward, I can see this going two different directions. One direction is that Keisuke realized at some point, I'm trying to fixed this situation with Take by putting Moria in this position. And that's not right to Moria because I don't love her. He likes Moria. She's a great person. She's a great friend. But does he love her? The opposite end it can go into is the idea that, yes, technically, they don't have to be madly in love with each other and smoochy to be in a relationship, in a marriage. It could just be through mutual support. The two of them can be married and friends. The idea that they don't necessarily have to be attracted to the other person and smoochy over each other. Just simply a companionship. And so he can accept Moria in a position of his wife simply on the idea the two of them can support each other. Again, it does not have to be like full-blown love, like romance. It can just be simply them coming together. And I think that's probably the direction it's going. Because I don't necessarily see Keisuke kind of in the future kind of going to the route of, no, that's not right to you because you need to find somebody that will actually love you. And then it gets into the whole question of what is love really. But yeah, this is something, again, I wasn't really expecting, but we'll see what direction it goes. Again, we gotta go turn into the idea that Moria just goes psycho and then they don't actually get married. But I do like Moria's character. I think she's a fantastic character. Again, I think in the manga, she had a lot of development, and I do really kind of see her relationship with Keisuke being really solid. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. But that's my thoughts on episode 10. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know it's the episode. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe before you leave. Like this content, you want to support channel more. I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, y'all take care.